let's just address the elephant in the room. First of all, hi guys, it's Joshua Reviews. Second, don't you just love it when a movie studio or like production company or whatever it is, don't you just love it when they take a good, bad, or mediocre movie and they're just like, hey, let's just get a totally unrelated movie and just slap a sequel. They just slap the number 2 on it. Call it a day. Oftentimes, this happens when a movie, enters, it gets picked up by a distribution company, and they're like, okay, we don't know how to market this, so let's just throw a number 2 on there, which is how we get movies like Knock Knock 2. That's right, they made a sequel, but this is not related to the first one by any regards. No. This is not related to the first one at all. And as a matter of fact, this is a found footage movie. And for those of you who are not aware, I love found footage movies. It is my favorite horror genre. Why, you may ask? First of all, it's the easiest to make. So there's a lot of them. But there's a lot of found footage movies with different ideas and concepts. Some well executed, some bad. Second, it is, in my opinion, the most realistic horror, especially the Blair Witch. When this film came out at the time, a lot of people believed it was real. And obviously, as we know, it's not. It's a sham, but it's a great movie. It is probably one of the greatest horror movies ever made, up there with Halloween, The Exorcist, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But on that notion of found footage, it is my favorite subgenre of horror. So when I found out that this was not a sequel to, the first Knock Knock, not like I give a shit, but I caught my eye because it's a found footage movie. And originally I think it was called Haunting on 1666, because that's like the address of the house that's in this movie. That's what originally it was going to be called. Yeah, even here it says, based on found footage, last year on the night before Halloween, 4 friends decided to go on a self-made tour of famous Hollywood murders and celebrity haunted houses. The tour led them to the house known as 1666. So there we go. They have been missing ever since, and all that remains is this footage. So, honestly, not even mad that there's a fly that went by. This is not even related to the first movie, and I'm not even mad about that because the first movie wasn't even that good. It wasn't good at all. Besides a few maybe good moments here and there. This one, totally its own thing, and I'm totally fine with that. Movies do that all the time. A good example is 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. It's a name alone sequel, but the difference is that movie was made by the same director, and he played with a similar concept and did kind of his own thing. It was a similar story, so that's why it's a sequel name-only film. And I'm fine with that, If a movie decides to do that, then okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. But how's the movie? Well, I heard a lot of people did not like this movie, so that really made me excited. Yay. But most of the complaints I heard was that it was found footage, so I was like, oh, okay, then whatever. That's not a problem with me. But the problems kind of start right away because the minute the movie begins, the characters aren't really anything noteworthy. The characters just kind of do random stuff. There's no real... It's so funny. There's no real plot to this movie. I mean, there is a plot, and, you know what they're doing in the movie. But I'm not joking, the first 30 minutes is just the characters talking about useless junk. The only thing I know about the two main characters, is that they are getting married. The one guy films himself proposing to his girlfriend, and she says yes, but the camera's like far away. So you're just kind of left there, sitting there for 5 minutes as he's like far away on the beach proposing. And of course she says yes, but it's just like, it's so far away you can't hear anything. So you're just like, Oh, okay. So how long is this gonna? Oh, okay. Okay. So it's just gonna. Okay. Anyone see a little speck that went? Oh, that was a ghost. Ooh. But no, this yeah, kind of the first half of this movie drags a lot, and that's my dog. Sorry about that. Yeah, the first half of this movie drags big time. Once they decide to go on this, adventure of theirs to like go look at abandoned houses, the movie starts to get interesting as they start talking about the different murders. And obviously, at least assuming most of these stories are fake that that the filmmakers came up with while they were making the movie. Because if they were to make real story, if these were real tragic events, then it'd be a lot different. But yeah, no. So the stories that they talk about, like when they go on their little tour of theirs, I hope they're fake because a lot of them are pretty graphic in detail. And I'm just thinking to myself, these are fake murders that they're talking about, right? This isn't something they like. I'm sure it wouldn't take like less than a minute to like Google search, like, are these real murders they're talking about? But it doesn't matter. So after a while, they find this house, the 1666 house, and they go inside. And the rest of the movie is them getting stuck in this house. And I love a haunted house movie. And I love this whole idea about the whole movie taking place in this haunted house and it's found footage style. That's part of the reason I love the Blair Witch movie, because the ending is so haunting, how they're just in this house. And it's actually in part why I like the Blair Witch sequel from 2016, not the Book of Shadows. I haven't seen that shit. But the problems, again, they come back. Because once they enter the house, it became very apparent to me that there's no furniture in this house. This is a very small house. And I think what happened was they were like, hey, we have this house we can use for a movie, so let's just shoot a movie in there. And it's unfortunate because the characters don't really do a lot once they get trapped in the house. They try to escape, but their attempts are very brief, and we don't really know like the entirety of like what is chasing them, what's attacking them, like what it is that's like after them. Anyways, the only thing I think we can guess like is like what's going after them is one scene, which is the best scene in the movie. It's where they try to go into the attic to see if they can find a way out, and the one guy goes into the attic and he gets pulled up. And you just see his feet go in. And I'm like, that's a cool shot. I like that. Okay, the movie's going to pick up. And then the lights go out. And I'm like, okay, we're building suspense. What's going to happen? And then the lights flicker. And you see a ghost girl behind the guy. And you're like, that was good. That was a good scare. That's the only scene in the movie that the only sense of like what is after them. Everything else, just nothing. I think so one guy, yeah, he gets pulled up. The other girl, I think, bashes her head in, which is off screen, of course, because it's low budget. And the other guy, I think she goes missing. We never find out what happens to her. I think she just goes missing. Or no, I'm sorry, she gets locked in a bathroom and they just can't open the door. And eventually she screams and then she stops and then the door opens and I think she's gone. I don't know. Case in point, not a lot happens in this movie. That's not to say that the movie was boring. There were a lot of scenes that kept me engaged and wanting to know how it was going to end. And there was one or two creepy scenes. I think that the shot where they show you the house and what it looks like the outside POV, I'm just like, okay, that's a cool shot. But in terms of like the haunt factor, there's not a lot. Like I said, the one scene I mentioned is the best scene in the movie. But not a lot happens. There's no furniture inside the house, so they don't really have a lot to do in the house. They just kind of go room to room, and there's nothing in there, and they're just kind of, jibber-jabbering. And most of it's obviously improv. They even said that in an interview or in the behind the scenes, because I watched a special feature. And, that's fine. I mean, Blair Witch has taught us that improv can be great for a movie, especially in the found footage genre. I mean, I think it works best when it is improv. But a lot of this, oh, here we go. There you go, right there. That's the girl. I don't know what exactly like she is. It's barely briefly hinted at, but I mean, truth be told, not a lot happens in this movie, and it can be really slow and boring at some parts. That's not to say it was awful. I probably would not watch it again, but there are worse found footage movies and worst horror movies to watch. And there were one or two scenes that kept my interest. So I thought long and hard about what I'm going to give it as a rating, and I'm just barely going to give it a C minus. It's a very generous C minus, and C minus is just, it's barely a passing grade. Nevertheless, I wouldn't really recommend it, but I mean, I don't know how else to rate it. So, C minus. Anywho, we're done with the Knock Knock movies, which only two, so. As I'm sure you guys didn't see, if you go to the YouTube comments on my last review, I have laid like a little schedule of movies I'm going to watch. So the next movie I'm going to watch is going to be The Toolbox Murders. I'm so excited to watch that. Stay tuned. Time to go.